okay? And that was a black woman, okay? So in Africa, Africa is like a giant test tube, okay? You have the shortest people in the world, who are the Twa, to the tallest people in the world, who are the Dinkas. You have women with steatopedia, with those large posteriors. You've seen some of that, right?
Yes.
Okay?
Well, yeah. I just have it.
That's what I'm saying. and here, when I was growing up as a young boy in South Carolina, I saw a lot of that steatopedia in my family too.
Yes.
Because a lot of Africans were brought from Angola, and Angola it's right on the Kalahari Desert. Okay, so once you live in the desert, your body undergoes morphological changes, and that's why in Africa has the shortest people in the earth, who are basically living in the rainforest. You see, and they are shielded away from the ultraviolet rays, so their skin is not as dark as mine or some of the other brothers. Their skin complexion might be more like yours. You see what I mean? That's because Africa has, from the darkest to the lightest to blue black, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, and to you go into the Kalahari Desert, you see the Sankoi and the Khoi people, they have slanted eyes, looking like the Chinese. Yet the Chinese have never come to Africa, but the Africans are the first people to go to China. They're the first people in Japan. You understand? They're the first people in Melanesia. Okay, and that word in Greek, the word Melanesia comes from the word melanos, which means the darkest of dark. The darkest people in the earth right now are living in the Solomon Islands, okay, which is out in the South Pacific. Darker than the people in Nubia, darker than the people in Guinea-Bissau, which are very, very dark. They're so dark, when you walk with them, they have an advantage because they're so beautiful.
Right.
When I first went to Senegal, I went on the other side of Gambia in Senegal, and I went in a place near Guinea-Bissau. The women there are so striking. It's called the Jolas. The Jolas, they are so dark, and their hair was braided so unique. You know, I was young, I didn't know what was going on, but that was something etched in my memory, okay? So when I came back from Africa, I started doing this research, and that's when I contacted Dr. Alan Wilson, because I had all of this information from Dr. Diop. And at that time, only 3 labs in the world were doing this kind of work. So when I wrote Dr. Wilson my research proposal, he said, in 25 years, I have never seen or met someone with a research interest as close to mine as yours is. You know, he was going to help me, but sadly, he passed away prematurely.
Right.
He invited me to a conference at the University of Pennsylvania, and he and I met. And I told him about my meeting Cheikh Anta Diop, and he said he knew about Cheikh Anta Diop, you know. And sadly, he and I were communicating, and then all of a sudden, he passed away. So I was trying to become an experimentalist now. So basically, what I shifted my interest now is more from a theoretical standpoint. You know what I mean? And more education. You know, and that's how you met me, and doing the work that I'm doing.
Right.
So my work encompasses history, culture, science, and spirituality.
Oh, beautiful.
You understand?
Because spirituality encompasses all of that.
It all encompasses all of that.
Yes.
And so my work, what I'm hoping with the help of Allah to do now, is to help to establish a nation of peace based on the attributes of God. Freedom, justice, and equality, peace, love, happiness, that is going to be our challenge. We can't go into these schools any longer and we expect them to teach the history of our people.
Right.
Because to them, it would be almost committing moral suicide.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You cannot go to your oppressor and think that he's going to be your liberator.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
You have to get up and you have to do for yourself. Politically, there's no solution to our condition because our condition is divine. The same creator who allowed us to go into this condition is the one who's going to help us to come out of this position.
Right.
And he's going to move us away from this limited knowledge that we have been exposed to, and he's going to bequeath to us a level of knowledge that no one has even imagined. No mind has conceived, no eyes has seen. It's almost impossible to think what we have in store as a part of our redemption.
Right.
Yes.
Well, listening to you, it kind of reminds me of the fact that everybody needs to know this history.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because when everyone, all races of people,
absolutely,
need to understand this history.
That's correct.
Because
That's correct.
when we understand each other's history, we respect each other more.
You're absolutely
You know,
right.
and then, but what has happened? The real history has been denied, as you said,
Yes.
to us, and what that does to a little black child that's going to school, if they don't see themselves in the history books,
Right.
in their minds, they did not matter. I remember when I was a little girl, and the first picture that I saw in the history books was a slave in chains.
That's right.
And when I saw that, for some reason, I said to me that is not me.
That you didn't
Not knowing my history,
Right.
but as a little girl, inside of me, I knew that was not me.
Right. Exactly.
And then as I got older, I started learning my history and everything, and how great and beautiful it is.
Precisely.
And the fact that when we're not denied our history, as you said earlier, when some of your students did not want to go to Africa because they had to work and everything.
Yes.
But if they knew the value of who they were,
That's right.
they would say, let's go.
Let's go.
Because
Right.
we have French students who
That's
come over
right.
here to,
Absolutely.
to learn about America. We have students from all over the world who come here to learn about America.
Right.
So as African people, if we don't want to go to Africa,
Yes.
to the motherland,
Yes.
to learn about who we were,
Right.
what that says to me is that because of what we've gotten here in America, and the history that we've gotten here in America, it
Yes.
has not been that we should love ourselves.
Well, that's the idea.
And then the other thing too is like whenever we look at Africa, we don't look at Africa as a country that is what is it?
Develop.
That's developed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
developed.
That's the
Yeah,
word.
right.
As a country that is developed.
Well,
And it is.
well, here, see, Maryam, what you have to understand, Africa is the way that it is that because the European countries have kept Africa in this undeveloped state, okay? Just recently, there's a doctor who, she was president of the African Union, okay? And she got fired. She's a black doctor, okay? I think her name is Dr. Chow, I think. No, Dr. Kwa. And she got fired. And what she showed that when the French signed an agreement for 13 countries, African countries, to gain their independence, okay? They stipulated that 85% of all of the cash reserves that each of those African countries had,
Yes.
they had to deposit them in French banks, okay? Okay, and also in addition to that, all of the resources that were discovered in those countries, whether it be gold, whether it be diamonds or silver, whether it's tungsten or cobalt, the French would have first choice to it, okay?
Okay.
All of those Europeans and even the Arabs, all of them, they have come to Africa. They robbed, raped, and pillaged. First with the Portuguese. The Portuguese, they couldn't even feed their people wheat. They started coming along the northern coast of Morocco, robbing and stealing wheat, okay? Because the Portuguese, they learned from the Moors how to come to Africa in a straight line and then make a semicircle like an arc and go back to Lisbon. In 1455, it was Pope Nicholas V who gave a papal bull. A papal bull in Latin is a declaration where the Pope makes a decree. He said to go into all foreign lands, capture all Saracens who are Muslims and all non-believers, take all of their worldly possessions and put them in perpetual slavery. You see, and from that standpoint, they began to go to Morocco. Then they came down to Senegal. If you've ever been in Senegal and Gorée Island, they have the door of no return. Okay?
Oh, yes.
Then in 1471, they came down to Ghana. And in Ghana, they have Elmina Castle. And they have the Ladder of Shame, where the Portuguese would rape women, and that's why you see along the coast, you'll see people who look more mulatto, or like we would say in South Carolina, more like Marini, raping the women. But now, with all of this pillage, plunder, that's what they did, okay? So now, they took, for 300 years, look at what they took from Africa. Gold, silver, diamonds, all of the wealth that Europe had, their primary wealth came from African people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The European capitalism, right, started first in Portugal, because the Portuguese learned how to extract crystals from sugar, and that from sugar cane, and that's how you get sugar. So they were in Brazil, you see what I mean? Then they came into the Caribbean, you know,
Yes.
for sugar cane, so they could give sugar to the aristocracy in Europe. Then they came to America and bringing our ancestors to America. Remember, Sir John Hawkins is the first Englishman to come to America and bringing Africans from Sierra Leone, okay?
Well, this is a half an hour show, and I don't know how much time I have left. And he just told me 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
But we are having a part 2. And the reason why and in the next show that we do,
Okay.
I really want to get from you the response of your students when you're teaching this history.
Yes.
To young people,
Oh, absolutely.
to white people, to Hispanic students, to black students.
Absolutely.
All you, like, what is their response when you start telling them things that they did not know because they were told other things?
We can go with the kindergartners. They're the brightest of all.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, they
Because
are.
once they learn the history and you teach them about Egypt, I remember it was in the Orange, one of the elementary schools, we gave the students an assignment of all the pharaohs in Egypt. They took it so seriously. You know what I mean? And they went and they did their research and they came back. You should have seen what they did.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I know.
yeah. All through middle school. In fact, we were in Jersey City, and one of the teachers, she said, Mr. Muhammad, Professor Muhammad, the students are waiting for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's the positive side. But the flip side of that, a lot of the teachers, they get intimidated because they know that they have not been taught properly. They have been miseducated. And some of these
Yes.
students are Latinos.
Yes.
And some of them can't speak English. They speak Spanish. I know some Spanish, but I was speaking to them through an interpreter. And they say, muy inteligente. You see? They say, muy inteligente. They liked it. And here in Newark, we were over at Warren Street School, okay? Some of the Boricuas, the Puerto Ricans were there. It was no difference between them and brothers because they know in Puerto Rico, they know if they look at their ancestors, they might think they're Blanquito, might think they're white, but their grandmothers are black.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
When you go into Loíza, Odea, and Carolina, that's where Roberto Clemente comes from.
Right.
Black, black, black. In the Dominican Republic, black. Cuba, you know what I mean? I was in Colombia in South America, Cartagena. 75% of the population there is black or of African ancestry. And then I went to St. Basilio de Palenque. These are the Palenqueros, blacks who were brought from Angola to Colombia. They fought the Spaniards and beat the Spaniards in 1712. They got the first free province in the Americas in 1712, even before Haiti in which won their independence in 1804. All of these ideas, all of these concepts, they are buried amid lies and contradictions,
Yes.
But
Yes.
now the Creator is bringing this knowledge up, and
Right.
now it's up to you. Either you accept it or reject it, but nothing can stop it because it's in the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's it.
When I was in college, my two favorite subjects were philosophy and history.
Beautiful.
My history instructor was a white brother, and he taught history so well.
Absolutely.
That it was like I wanted to be there.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, with the way he was describing
With the interest,
history.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's quite fine.
But we're gonna continue this conversation. My name is Maryam Bey, and my guest is Dr. Professor Muhammad.
Yes.
And we're gonna do part 2. Thank you very much.